Evening, welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Clive Myrie. In the news this week, as a head of HR draws up a P45 notice, a particularly cruel meme about Liz Truss arrives on his phone at just the wrong time. After a sharp rise in the cost of ingredients, one customer is furious as all the piri-piri dishes are dropped from his local Nando's.
Gone, 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 that's correct, gone, 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 gone. Right?
And away from the pressures of government, for the first time in years, Kwasi Kwarteng can finally be himself again.
That picture suggests he could balance anything.
On Ian's team tonight is a journalist for The Spectator who recently appeared on the reality show Make Me Prime Minister. Well, I think over the coming weeks we might all get a turn. Please welcome Katy Balls. And on Paul's team tonight is a comedian who, when she started stand-up, delivered every line in a flat monotone, one at a time, with long pauses in between. In those days, that made her an alternative comic. Today, it would make her Prime Minister. Please welcome Jo Brand. Now, we begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Ian and Katy, take a look at this.
This is the last Prime Minister but three.
He's always been a bell end.
This is the runners and riders for the next Prime Minister.
They're all disappearing.
This is documentary footage from the voting chamber in the Commons.
Boris Johnson's coming back. I suppose this is just the unbelievable news that Liz Truss was Prime Minister. And now she's gone. In fact, her whole career was one enormous U-turn. She walked into Downing Street and then she walked straight out again.
She didn't drag it out.
No. They dragged her out.
Yeah.
She did 45 days, and that doesn't include the mourning period of the Queen. So just think what she achieved in 35 days.
They seem to keep doing shorter times per go.
Yeah.
So...
It sounds from what you were saying that whoever wins next week and becomes Prime Minister, the victory speech will be something along the lines, I'm very pleased to have become Prime Minister of this country, and that's why I'm tendered my resignation.
Did you notice, though, that when she was, like, giving her resignation speech, she was sort of weirdly smiling quite a lot? I thought, oh, she's got Christmas strictly.
I was watching when she resigned, and the pound actually recovered during her resignation speech. And I thought, if internationally the markets prefer no Prime Minister to you, then it's the end of the game, isn't it?
We've had the result of quite a sophisticated political experiment. What do you think that was?
What, Brexit?
Is it trying out Ekin-Su from Love Island?
It was the Daily Star's experiment to see what lasted the longest.
Oh, yes, they bought a lettuce, didn't they?
Liz Truss or the Daily Star lettuce?
No, sorry, which is which?
Yeah.
You're confusing me.
We might need to take the letters a bit more seriously because I checked today and it's 500 to 1 currently to be the next Prime Minister.
Ian, is it time for Boris to make a miraculous return?
No, of course it isn't. You imagine the Tory party will have learnt its lesson.
Boris needs 100 MPs to back him.
You're not seriously going to propose him to come back. That seems to me almost mad enough for them to do it.
There's lots of MPs with quite rose-tinted glasses, I think, thinking, oh, you know what, I might have sent a letter to get rid of him, but he didn't hurt my mortgage.
Right.
So maybe it's worth another shot.
Yeah, so having someone who's a liar's better than someone who's a liability. I don't buy it.
Katy, I wonder, how can they justify another leadership election?
Yeah. Tory MPs looking at the polls, They're not about to vote for a general election. Lots of them like the idea of being opposition for a couple of years, but if you go to a general election, about 19% in the polls, most of them are not going to be in the opposition, they're going to be in the job centre.
Yeah. OK, well, here's how ITV's Tom Bradby summed up the shenanigans on Wednesday night.
Shenanigans.
The Deputy Chief Whip was reported to have left the scene saying, "I'm absolutely effing furious. I just don't effing care anymore," before he resigned, along with the Chief Whip. But we've just been told they have now officially unresigned. The Home Secretary has, however, definitely gone.
Now, those shenanigans were Wednesday night, Ian, right?
Yes.
And what were the shenanigans?
Well, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the Home Secretary resigning? Nutella, as she's known, on the moderate wing of the party. No, that's very cheap. Her name's Cruella. I mean, for some reason she was Home Secretary, God knows why, and now she isn't anymore because she leaked a letter to a member of the public, so she broke the ministerial code. I thought if you breached the code, you had to be deported to Rwanda.
She used her private email, that's the suggestion.
Yes.
Yahoo, said Grant Shapps.
Who might end up being the shortest serving Home Secretary ever, because whoever wins presumably bring in their own Home Secretary, so he might have been Home Secretary for less than a week.
And given he was her chief critic at the conference, and then she gave him the job.
Well, she sacked him, didn't she?
Yeah, as transport.
At the beginning of her premiership, but, you know, memory fades.
So, Grant Shapps, or is it Michael Green?
Yes, well, he's got a number of names.
Well, let's remind ourselves of how Michael Crick went after Grant Shapps and wouldn't take no for an answer.
Mr. Green, how are you?
Very good,
are you
Michael.
Mr. Green today or Grant Shapps?
No, I'm Grant today.
Can we ask you about this book
No,
you published online? Can you assure us that all your online testimonials were genuine people? Can you assure us, Mr. Shapps? Can you assure us, Mr. Shapps, that all the testimonials on your business sites were genuine people? Mr. Shapps? Can you assure us that all the testimonials on your business sites were genuine
Michael,
people?
absolutely.
What about Corinne Stockheath of Surrey? Doesn't appear to be any Stockheath anywhere in the world. There doesn't appear to be a Stockheath anywhere in the world. Is she genuine? Is Richard Wharton of Tetriox, New York, genuine? Is JLM Richards of the Wollaston Stock?
No way out.
I think we've undersold the shenanigans, though. That was just the Home Secretary. I mean, what about the fracking bill?
Probably the most chaotic it's been. It's almost a cross between a rugby scrum, I think, in the voting lobby and handbags at dawn.
Well, Katy, you were right. I mean, there were chaotic scenes in the Commons on Wednesday night as MPs fought, they cried and they swore. Jacob Rees-Mogg was alleged to be at the heart of the melee, while according to The Times, one MP was manhandled by Therese Coffey. She'd just taken someone else's steroids and was feeling jacked.
Can you imagine the pleasure, though, of being sandwiched between Therese Coffey and Jacob Rees-Mogg? My sexual fantasy, that is.
The government had declared that any Tory MP who voted against the fracking bill would have the party whip removed. So who rebelled?
Last time round, they actually promised that they wouldn't do fracking, so it's not quite clear which mandate this is. Is this the Tory election mandate or Liz Truss's fantasy mandate that got the pensioners in Bournemouth so excited at cocoa time?
Yeah, if you voted with the government, you were going against a government manifesto commitment.
Right.
If that helps simplify things.
Totally clears it.
Well, some big names did abstain. Priti Patel, Kwasi Kwarteng. Here's the full list, actually, coming up. As you can see, it also includes Liz Truss.
Isn't that because those passes don't work?
That's what they said.
Yes, Liz Truss, she forgot to swipe her pass. Be careful how you say that. Well, it was a night of high emotions, no question about that. We've called it shenanigans. Who else got a bit blue that night?
Christian Gouin-Murphy?
Yes. He got caught in an unguarded moment, for those who don't know, following a testy interview with Steve Baker.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
It wasn't a stupid question, Steve. You know it. I'm very happy to go up against you on trust any day. What a
Why were we looking at a policeman as we were hearing that? It looked like the policeman was a particularly skilled ventriloquist.
What was the word that was bleeped out?
Yeah.
Conservative.
Yeah, that was it. It began with a C. Cabbage, was
Yes,
it? Something
yes.
like that, yeah.
Conservative, unionist, national treasure.
Oh, my word. What do you think the foreign media are making of all of this? Never mind Krishnan Guru Murthy.
They're
having a
laughing, aren't they? Apparently, we used to have quite a good reputation in the world for stability. And so I understand that's now gone.
Well, we can find out what they think.
Let's find out.
British media suggests that Prime Minister Liz Truss's cabinet can collapse shortly.
Her position is so clearly on an edge. It sparked this question: can Liz Truss outlast the 10-day shelf life of a lettuce?
À toute heure du jour et de la nuit désormais, avec une question: est-ce que Liz Truss peut durer plus qu'une laitue?
Woraufhin dann der stellvertretende Fraktionschef das Parlament mit den Worten verließ: I'm fucking furious and I don't fucking care anymore.
Fracking.
Keep
sure.
fracking.
I'm sure that's what she meant to say.
Yeah.
What eroded Liz Truss's foundations early on in the week?
The fact that she was completely useless.
When Jeremy Hunt junked almost entirety of her not-so-mini budget.
Indeed. Here's Keir Starmer with a handy explanation. Notice how Angela Rayner is joining in the fun.
45p tax cut, gone. Corporation tax cut, gone. 20p tax cut, gone. 2-year energy freeze, gone. Tax-free shopping, gone. Economic credibility, gone.
Who missed an opportunity to be frank with Jeremy Hunt?
Somebody called Frank?
Yeah, no, Miriam Margolyes, apparently. Here she is this week giving a live interview on Radio 4 immediately after Jeremy Hunt had left the studio.
Well, I thought I'd be sitting in the seat. Justin will help you out.
Jeremy Hunt has just sat in, is what you're
And
about
the
to
thing is,
say.
when I saw him there, I just said, "You've got a hell of a job. The best of luck." And what I really wanted to say, "Fuck you."
Oh no! You're not going to say that.
But you can't say that.
Yes, no, you can't say that.
Everyone seems to be doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Give it a go, Clive.
Yes. Who else is rumoured to be in line for the role of Chancellor?
I thought they were sticking to Hunt.
Some people say he's a bit too old for the job, that he's an antique hunt.
Some people were saying Sajid Javid might be picked as Chancellor, but then Downing Street appeared to take quite a strong view on that rumour.
Quite a strong
Who
view.
is Downing Street?
At this point, no one.
According to a government source, when someone mentioned him as a possible replacement for Kwasi Kwarteng, the Prime Minister laughed out loud at the suggestion. The source added, she has sat in the cabinet with Javid for 10 years and she knows who is good and who is shit. And now so does everyone else. Here's the Saj being surprised at a Pelican Crossing near Parliament this week.
Do you think that Liz Truss looks safer now, or...
It's very nice to see you.
Jeremy Hunt looked very prime ministerial behind that desk this morning, didn't he?
Lovely to see you.
What we heard from Jeremy Hunt earlier on sounded very much like Rishi Sunak. They are, thankfully.
What have you done today? All right, see you later.
He was waiting to cross. So obeying the rules, he'll never be Prime Minister.
What else did Liz Truss probably regret this week?
Speaking like a robot. She sounds like a sort of malfunctioning robot midwife, doesn't she? Because she just goes, deliver, deliver. I think if she'd made normal expressions with her face instead of going... quite a lot, people would have actually been a bit warmer towards her. Her whole manner is just, like, so weird.
Now, if she was a robot, she'd possess artificial intelligence.
The other thing she probably regrets this week is sending her political rival, Penny Mordaunt, to Parliament in her place to answer an urgent question from Labour.
Mr. Speaker, with apologies to the Leader of the Opposition and the House, the PM is detained on urgent business. And the Prime Minister is not under a desk.
As soon as you raise that image, we know she was.
Well, who else was disrespected by a colleague in Downing Street this week? I'll tell you.
Yes.
Sky News' Tamara Cohen was trying to have a two-way conversation with Kay Burley. Have a look.
A couple of days ahead in which her authority is going to be very much tested. She's got what's going to be another tricky performance in Parliament tomorrow with Keir Starmer. And then as we head later in the week, there's going to be questions about what cuts to departmental budgets are going to be brought forward. A lot of people are leaving Downing Street now. This is the Chancellor, actually.
Yeah. Talk to the hand. Talk to the hand.
That's just so rude.
How was Liz Truss's fate ultimately decided by a curry?
The Tory MPs plotting against her met in an Indian restaurant?
Is it a Commons office? Because there's an MP who backed Rishi Sunak who has been having lots of takeaways on hospitality in his office. And I had a Tory MP say to me, it'd basically become a bistro. And that was where there was a big curry to talk about the future.
Yeah. The anti-trust MPs apparently discussed a plot to oust her this week over a curry, leading the Sun to label them the Balti Bandits and refer to it as the Poppadom Plot, which would explain this headline: Man finds Boris Johnson in his chicken korma. Here it is. He already has one backer. It's the Scunthorpe MP, Holly Mumby-Croft.
Holly Mumbly-Croft. How do you spell mumbly?
Is it someone Grant Shapps has made up?
Her name is Mumby, not Mumbly.
Yes.
What a shame.
Mumby-Croft.
Of course, if you spell Scunthorpe, it doesn't matter.
This is the news, of course, that Liz Truss is a quitter, not a fighter. The person who deserves the most sympathy is, of course, Liz Truss's husband, Hugh, who at some point during dinner last night must have bravely said, OK, Liz, but could we talk about my day? After the fracking vote, there were reports that one Tory MP was roughed up outside the division lobbies. I imagine he ended up with his eyes to the right and his nose to the left. Now, Paul and Joe, look at this.
This is the BBC. BBC Television Presents. BBC's 100 years old. That's one of the first logos they had, probably from the 30s, by the look of the design. And this is, what's that Labrador looking at? And it's candles. Birthdays. Birthdays. The BBC the other day was 100 years old.
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you know what device the first controller of BBC Television used to instruct the presenters without being seen or heard by the audience?
Was it a gun?
A megaphone.
Well...
Bow and arrow.
According to the Times, an electric shock. Would you like to see the BBC's Tom Donkin from 2017, who looks like someone's threatening him with a cattle prod?
Yes, please.
Hello and welcome.
All this has given me an idea for a new quiz format, ladies and gentlemen. It's called Clive's Big BBC Quiz, and here is how it works.
Yeah.
I ask you a question about the BBC, and you have to answer it. Got it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah? OK, fingers on the buzzers. Here's first one. Who wrote the first ever King's Speech to be broadcast on the BBC?
Lord Reith.
It was a poet.
John Cooper Clarke.
No.
Is it Pam Ayres?
No, Rudyard Kipling, before he started his cake empire. In 1941, Wilfred Pickles was the first BBC newsreader to have a northern accent. Why did they take such a terrible risk?
Is that a genuine question?
Yes. Well, according to the Daily Mirror, it was part of a plan to confuse any Germans who might be listening in.
That would have been good. Oh, shit, what was that? Oh, my coil's just fallen out. Don't be ridiculous, I'm 800 years old. I'll tell you what, oh, it's this.
I've been feeding it chocolate biscuits for the last hour.
What was Guy Gomer supposed to be an expert in?
Oh, he was the man who famously was, I think he'd gone for an interview and he was mistaken for an expert on the record industry, I think.
You've almost got it. 2006, the Congolese taxi driver was mistaken for an expert in digital music streaming and copyright law and dragged into the BBC News 24 studio.
So what does this all mean for the industry and the growth of music online? Well, Guy Cuny is the editor of the technology website News Wireless. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And now this is just another excuse to play one of my favourite BBC News 24 bloopers.
This is BBC World News. I'm Jonathan Charles, kept hidden for almost 2 decades and forced to bear children.
And finally, whose is the most viewed face on the BBC throughout the last 100 years?
Ian.
It's this person.
She was the daughter of the man that designed the test card.
Carol Hersey is her name. She was on screen for 70,000 hours or 8 continuous years.
That's longer than Pointless.
She's the most viewed face on the BBC, and not as you might have thought, Amal Rajan. There's another media anniversary being celebrated, Channel 4's 40th birthday, and despite government threats to privatise it, a lot of people have campaigned to keep Channel 4 as a public service broadcaster. But, and it's difficult to phrase this question any other way, what do you think of my massive cock? I know.
I wonder what was creating the shadow. Is that actually a programme?
Yeah, there it is. My massive C.K.
Well, it's a bit late to give us that now, isn't it?
So what was that on, then?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it myself.
Is it an agricultural programme?
It's actually about the problems of living with a massive cock.
Or Prime Minister, as we call him up to yesterday.
This is the news that the BBC is 100 years old. According to the BBC Press Office, in 1936, King Edward VIII abdicated live on air on the BBC. He then machine-gunned down the watching dignitaries before swinging on a chandelier and leaping out through a stained glass window. Well, that's how it showed it on the Crown. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to round 2, the one-armed bandit of news. Fingers on the buzzers, teams.
I'm glad. I wondered what it was for a minute.
Yeah?
As soon as you've spent the last 10 minutes boasting about it.
Here's the first one.
Is it about the protesters on Dartford Bridge this week?
Yes, he was blocked by a pair of Just Stop Oil protesters who scaled the suspension bridge. Here they are. Now, some commuters tried to encourage them to come down by firing fireworks at them. And despite that, they remained up there for 37 hours. And coming down asked, who's won, Liz or the lettuce? What did the protesters do in an art gallery as well?
Oh, they threw some tomato soup at Van Gogh's sunflowers.
Apparently, they regretted it in hindsight.
Yes, Joe, as part of a protest at the government's approach to fossil fuel policy, here's the moment it happened. Shocking, absolutely shocking. Have you seen how much soup costs these days? Afterwards, they glued themselves to the gallery wall before being removed by specialists who came armed with anti-adhesive and some croutons. What other protest was in the news this week?
Oh, well, there was a Hong Kong dissident who was protesting outside the Chinese consulate in Manchester and quite rightly was taken inside and beaten up. I mean, really, you can't have people protesting about dictatorial regimes in Britain. I don't know what they were thinking of. I think we should get the Red Army in to basically patrol the streets. And anyone who doesn't agree with the government should literally be killed.
Do you want to be Home Secretary?
I do.
One of the men involved is one of China's most senior UK diplomats. He's Consul General Zheng Xiwan, who told Sky News that it was his duty to rip hair from the scalp of the protester. Now, here's one of his victims. Finally, would you like to see an energy-saving tip that went viral this week?
Yeah. Not really.
No.
You're going to get it anyway. This is from TikTok. Here it is.
To save money, instead of boiling the kettle to make a cup of tea, after I do the ironing, I like to use the water from the iron to fill the cup up. And then I pop it in the microwave for 15 seconds. It's also a great way to recycle the water from the iron.
You telling me some bloke's doing the ironing? I don't believe it.
This is the ongoing series of protests by Just Stop Oil campaigners. The two young activists threw soup over a famous painting. Many people have likened it to vandalism, not a Dutch painter I'm familiar with. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the next one.
They've voted the best and worst motor service stations in the country.
Got it in one.
Yeah.
31,000 people were surveyed, about 119 service stations across the country. The service station that came bottom was Harts Head Moor East on the M62. Here it is. I mean, that looks all right to me.
No, it looks shit to me.
So what's bad about it then, do you think?
The toilets.
Well, The Guardian sent their North of England editor, Helen Pidd, to investigate. Helen discovered that the service station had lime green toilets. And also a branch of W.H. Smith with a curiously large display of beach balls. I mean, is that it?
Do you mean lime green toilets that were originally white, or...?
I think lime green generally.
OK.
Well, what rating does the service station have, do you think?
32%.
Nope.
6.
Nope.
4.
12.
Nope.
3.
Nope.
2.
99.
1. Blast off.
80% approval rating.
What,
The
that's
worst
the worst?
one. What a waste of time.
Yeah.
Which services weren't far behind? Hart said more east.
I think you're going to have to tell us.
Hearts Head more west. You got it. Well, which services came top then?
Kanye West.
Rugby services on the M6 got a satisfaction score of 100%, with one reviewer on TripAdvisor describing it as an oasis. Let's have a look at the service station.
To be honest with you, that Big Greg sign would do it for me.
Yeah. Meanwhile, why has James Corden got a bad review this week?
There was a New York restaurant, Balthazar, is it called?
Yeah.
He'd been there a couple of times and complained about the service.
James Corden was banned from New York restaurant Balthazar after several incidents where, according to The Sun, Corden upset staff by making them watch the extended director's cut of Cats. The Guardian also revealed that on one occasion, Corden shouted at staff because his wife's omelette wasn't cooked properly. The owner referred to Corden as a tiny cretin of a man.
It's a very foolish mistake to complain in a restaurant.
Oh, yes.
I knew some... No, I'm not even going to say. I'm going to say, but just I knew someone that used to piss in the soup at a service.
When I ordered pea soup, I didn't think...
Now, fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the next one.
Oh, this is dogs can sense our mood. They can smell incompetence. They must have been barking their heads off for the last 24 hours. So they smell incompetence. They can tell if somebody, so, you know, if they walk into operating theatre and somebody's performing open heart surgery, they can tell immediately whether the surgeon knows what he's doing or she knows what he's doing or doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the news that man's best friend may be more judgmental than we might have realised. So what do dogs know about us then?
We'll never know because they can't tell us, can they?
A new study this week apparently has revealed that dogs were first introduced to a competent person opening the lid of a box.
Dog, competent person opening the lid of a box, and the person opening the box, dog.
But then the competent person was followed by an incompetent person failing to open the lid. Well, the dog reliably chose to trust the competent person to feed them over the incompetent one.
Honestly, this sounds like complete bollocks.
There's compelling evidence.
Compelling evidence.
To suggest that cats can make a similar judgment about people.
For God's sake.
Can they?
Well, hang on.
Oh, he's got compelling evidence.
Thank you. Take a look at that.
Have a look at compelling evidence.
Not all dogs are equally able to sniff out incompetence, though. Which dogs do you think are actually better?
Border Collies, Alsatians, Labradors.
Female dogs strongly prefer competent people, compared to male dogs who, even when they detected someone was incompetent, didn't really care. Which breed has recently seen a huge boom in popularity?
The King Charles III Spaniel.
No.
Wolves.
Are you doing an impression of one now?
No, it's the lovely Corgi. Yes, the Kennel Club announced that since the Queen's death, registrations have reached a 30-year high.
They're quite bad-tempered, aren't they, Corgis? Apparently the Queen's Corgis used to quite regularly have a little snap at people.
But they've been taken over by Prince Andrew.
Let's hope they do it a lot, then.
That's one of the roles he's been allowed to keep. Keeper of the dog.
I hope someone's checking on them.
Yeah, we don't want a grooming scandal, do we?
What breed has not had the same luck as the Corgi?
Dalmatian.
No. Sadly, the King Charles Spaniel. The situation was so bad, its picture was featured on the front of the Times. There it is. Well, either that or the Conservative Party are planning to go rogue with their next leader. The number of King Charles Spaniels is declining. This is despite their popularity this week at the Discover Dog Show, where, according to the Times, visitors were enchanted as one King Charles Spaniel looked out over the side of his pen, probably thinking, this stinking pen. I can't bear this bloody thing. OK, time for the odd one out round. Your four are Jeremy Clarkson, Nigel Farage, King Charles III, and Elon Musk.
Jeremy Clarkson, he's had to close down his branded tea room. King Charles has had to get rid of the Duchy of Cornwall stuff, I suppose, so his biscuits have gone out the window. Nigel Farage, something about him producing his own gin or something like that, Farage's gin. And Elon Musk, I'm not sure, I mean, it might be leather jackets, it might be cars, it might be space modules.
Did he launch a perfume? He did. It was called...
Musk.
OK, well, it's to do with spin-offs. They're all trying to make some money on the side, apart from Jeremy Clarkson, who can no longer make money from his cafe, and restaurant.
Right.
Because the eateries were opened without planning permission.
That's right.
Clarkson has been ordered to remove all tables and furniture, including children's high chairs. So where am I supposed to sit now? Asked the visiting Richard Hammond. How has Nigel Farage been making money on the side?
Is it not nothing to do with gin?
Here's the promotional video he released for it.
Now, welcome to my latest product. Yes, it's Farage Gin. I know you've seen me drinking pints of beer. I love a pint of draft beer in the pub, but when it comes to home drinking, when it comes to a nice summer's evening, I just love a gin and tonic. And this range, well, of course, red, white and blue. What else would you expect from me?
Nigel Farage has put his name to red, white and blue Cornish gins. Here's the gin, with the very opposite of a tonic. I'm just wondering what the tasting notes for Nigel Farage's gin are.
Bitter.
Well, I suppose, what is he going to promote? Toss pot tonic?
What's King Charles's new alternative income stream?
Oh, it's plastic bags full of cash. Oh, no.
He is selling off the Queen's racehorses. Can you name any that are being sold?
Dobbin.
OK, there's Pile Driver, which the Queen named after her favourite Status Quo album.
Or Prince Philip, maybe.
Elon Musk launched a $100 a bottle perfume called Burnt Hair.
Pubic or hair on your head? I'm sorry, my job is to come and lower the tone on this. I think I'm doing really well.
There's sort of rip-off versions you can get. Flaming follicles.
Well, why shouldn't you get this as a Christmas present for loved ones?
Well, pretty obvious, I would have thought.
Well, as with so many Tesla products, its production has been delayed, and it won't be delivered until Q1 2023, which is also a front-runner for the name of his next child. Elon Musk released his burnt hair fragrance via his online shop, boringcompany.com. Not to be confused with boringcompany.co.uk, which is, of course, Keir Starmer's website. In other news, what product has Dolly Parton released to make some extra money on the side?
She's written a novel. That's not it, though, is it?
No. The country singer's launched a pet clothing line, which includes a blonde wig for dogs. Let's have a look.
Oh, I don't know what breed of dog that is, but it's in trouble.
And here it is on a live model.
That may well be the Prime Minister.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Peers, the quarterly magazine for the National Peers Association. It's quite fun, but it takes forever to get to the end. We're going to start with man sets world record for what in 30 minutes?
Doing the ironing.
Man sets world record for eating 21 sausage rolls in 30 minutes. John Dawes ate a sausage roll every 100 seconds. It was a huge achievement, but it really annoyed the other mourners at the wake.
It would do.
Next, people in Iceland stunned after what?
They fell into the fridges.
They went to Waitrose.
People in Iceland stunned after country starts using different font on street signs. Oh, yes, here are the two different signs with their different fonts.
I'd be stunned by that.
Yeah. Iceland, of course, is known for its hot geysers.
There's one.
Next, the country's shortest what is steadily gaining popularity?
Pier. Shortest pier. Shortest pier. Amusement pier.
I'm going to give you that one, Paul. Actually, the country's shortest pier at Burnham-on-Sea.
Yes.
Well, have a look at the pier.
OK, go on in.
Here it is.
That's where
It doesn't even reach the sea. I think it was made by the same people behind HS2. Woman creates life-sized what out of bread?
Sandwich.
Nope.
Tribute to the Battle of Agincourt.
Shed. Cat.
Husband.
Toilet.
Woman creates life-sized Han Solo out of bread.
Why?
This week, a Californian baker created the Star Wars character out of bread. Here it is.
What are we looking at there? How's that made out of bread?
Yes, if you're wondering what the Han Solo bread tastes like, it's a bit chewy. Couple have wedding video ruined by what?
Ghost of Banquo.
A dog saying they're incompetent.
Yeah.
Oh. Couple have wedding video ruined by pooping seagull. Yeah, this is the wedding of Rachel and Andrew, whose wedding video starts like this. Oh, don't you just love a white wedding? World's fattest parrot is what?
Greedy bastard. World's fattest parrot is...
Tasty.
Is urged to go on diet.
Yes.
Don't want to do it. Don't want to do it.
World's fattest parrot is banned from Bird of the Year contest.
Oh, I was banned from that as
Were
well.
you? That's a shame.
OK. Man with what on his head spotted at football match?
Pie. Tattoo of Clacton Pier.
World's fattest parrot.
Yeah.
Is it baseball hat?
No, it's man with toaster.
Toaster?
On his head spotted at football match. Here is the Blythe Spartans fan who was spotted sporting the headwear. Yeah, he's been able to toast a lot of things over the years, except, of course, success for Blythe Spartans.
Are they actually called Blythe Spartans?
Yes, they are, yeah.
Is that a Shelley reference?
A what reference?
Shelley, hail to the Blythe Spartan.
Oh.
I don't know.
Just trying to raise the tone a little.
So the final scores are... Ian and Katy have 5. Paul and Joe have 8.
Oh.
Well done. On which note we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Katy Balls, Paul Merton and Joe Brand, and I leave you with news that in London it's clear just how desperate Downing Street were after evidence emerges of Number 10 attempting to bring back George Osborne. After another round of intense Premier League action, Jurgen Klopp denies that he's becoming overstressed. And in Westminster, following Liz Truss's resignation, the Tory party opens up applications for a new PM. Good night.